Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel. I wanted to chime in now that the James Gunn Super movie has been out for a while and talk about what kind of response we're seeing. First of all, it's a very divisive movie. They're going to try and spin this in all different ways, but it's very divisive. And in most news media outlets, at least at first, were saying, yeah, it's controversial. Now they're kind of on the Warner Brothers shill train or whatever, and pretending that it's a wonderful movie. It's well, it's received across the board. It's immensely successful. It's not. Now, it's not a failure. Remember, I had predicted that the movie was going to do well, whatever well is. I mean, it wasn't going to be an utter flop, and it's not. Too many people have just decided that they wanted to love this movie from the get-go, and that's what we're hearing from people now. But internationally, people have pointed out it's crazy underperforming internationally. And this is number stuff that's, but you look into it on your own, you can find some channels are outlining this really well, that it's woefully underperforming for what a Superman movie should do. It might come out sort of similar to what Man of Steel made, probably. I don't know in the end, but Warner Brothers is really trying to pull the spin machine big time. And this is what they do, right? Man of Steel came out. Crazy decisive movie. I mean, whatever you think of it, even the most ardent Snyder bro will have to admit that was a very divisive film when it came to the fans. And what did Warner Brothers do? Ignored it. Just head down. Nope, it's great. It's a huge success. Let's just bull forward. Give Zack Snyder everything. Then Batman v Superman happened. And, Warner Brothers is furious. Like, how could this have happened? Only an idiot could not have seen that happening. And this is exactly what they're doing with the James Gunn Superman. They're head down, bulling forward. Nope, we're giving everything to Gunn. Everything's fine. Everything's fine here. It's all good. It's all good. And what's interesting about this is the responses I'm hearing for people who disagree with me and think, this is great. This Superman's wonderful. I hear, I really had fun. I was entertained. I hear, I was just hopeful. I was hopeful leaving the theater. All I'm hearing from people are about their fifis. That's the only defense I'm hearing about this movie. Now, granted, anybody who sat through Man of Steel or Zack Snyder's movies, that's, you come out of there with PTSD, just because they're not fun. I mean, so granted, maybe it's just such a big difference for people to go to see a movie with a Superman logo and actually, enjoy it or whatever. It was never, ever in doubt that this wouldn't be a movie that would entertain you, that you could eat some popcorn to, that you'd laugh a little bit about, maybe even be a little uplifted in the end, whatever. James Gunn's an experienced Hollywood filmmaker, okay? He knows how to play that game. The question is this the real deal Superman? And it's not. And the fact that people are trying to pretend, yes it is, because I felt good. Your feelings are important, but they're only part of the formula. And that's such an indicator of where we are today in our culture, that people's feelings are paramount. Feelings. And we see that reflected in this Superman, in this David Cornsweet, James Gunn Superman. Is he on his mansies the whole movie? He's the most emotionally volatile little princess of a Superman I've ever seen on screen. There are certain things in the formula, right? Oh, he stands up for right, he believes in, even when other people don't. Fine, that's not enough. One of the key things that's missing from this Superman, despite anything it might have put in that the Snyderverse didn't put in, is that he's not a man. And what I mean by not a man is he doesn't have that masculine... Superman should have a quiet dignity about him, a quiet grace. He shows up, there's a confidence, not a cockiness. And it doesn't, but it's like, if you had the healthiest father in your life you could possibly have, when your father walks in the room and you're like, things are under control, it's okay now, that is what Superman started off with. That was the appeal of the original Superman. Yes, you can look at the original first story and there was a little bit more of a trickster-esque nature to Superman. But again, once that formation phase happened and the audiences said, this is what we want from him, this is what we don't, and so forth, and Superman solidified into the same character he was for decades. You talk to a lot of historians or psychologists looking at why kids read comics and what was, what drew them to them back in the day. that these characters were father figures to them. They were very much like the father they wished they had, or like the father they had if they had good fathers or whatever. And it was fun to go on the adventures with them. And that's what was such a big deal when you had, first of all, Captain Marvel coming about, a boy who could say a magic word and suddenly be a man, that was a big deal. But Robin was huge when he came out. A lot of people don't really remember that. That's what started the craze about how every hero suddenly had to have a sidekick. And it was because kids reading these comic books, loving these characters like Superman, Batman, and so forth, and, going on these adventures with, like, the perfect father figure, now suddenly they could see themselves in the story. Now it was like, well, if Robin is still a kid and he can be hanging out and going on the adventures with Batman or whatever, maybe I can do that too or whatever, and, just a vicarious way of living through that. And then, of course, it all culminated, obviously, in Spider-Man, which was not the little boy who says a magic word and magically transforms into a man, but the boy, Peter Parker's a teenager, who puts on the suit and calls himself Spider-Man. Not Spider-Boy, Spider-Man. And, that was just a next step in the progression of the realism and everything like that. And I talk about that in my classes, and we outline the archetypes and see the trajectory there. But Superman should be grounded always in that quiet dignity, that quiet grace, that self-control of that perfected sort of father figure type. And that's what this movie just blows out of the water. And it doesn't do it like all of the sudden, right? We've seen this deconstruction of masculinity and this deconstruction of fatherhood and the father type. We've seen it going on in our culture forever. I mean, Man of Steel woefully got this wrong as well. I've talked about before, just the scene, for example, when he's, being picked on by the trucker. So instead of standing up to the trucker like a man, doesn't have to use his superpowers, just instead of standing up to that trucker like a man, no, he goes outside and does this little passive-aggressive hissy fit where he wraps his tractor and trailer around there. That's not being a man, right? That's what trolls do on the internet, right? How dare you? You said something that I don't like. Well, I'm going to troll you and I'm going to do all these things anonymously so you don't know who I am, because they don't want to stand up for themselves. No one wants to stand up and face conflict like a man anymore. And we have this same type of little wussy... there's just no other way to say it. This little pussified Superman in the James Gunn's movie that people are trying to pretend is the real deal Superman. I don't know how they can make this leap, but they're not using logic, right? They're just their feelings. My feelings are all that's important. I enjoyed it. Therefore, it's a great Superman movie. It's bizarre how people are doing this, but it makes sense with the way our culture is attacking masculinity. In the thumbnail there, I have the scene which a lot of people have talked about before I'm talking about it now. That's not Superman. He doesn't lash out at Lois Lane. But it does sound like a type we've seen in the media for a long time now. And it's the snowflake. It's the one who knows they're so morally right that they can't be argued about it. Don't give me any arguments against what I did because people were dying. I'm right. I know I'm right. That's that kind of emotional, how dare you? I'm right. How dare you talk to me about immigration? If you're so right about something, if your side is so true and so just, then you shouldn't be afraid of having a discussion about it, having a debate about it, in a setting in which you agree to the debate, right? I mean, there are some people who just want to pin you down on the internet or in real life or whatever. We're going to argue about this. Like, I haven't consented to an argument. I'm doing something else right now, But in a situation like where Superman and Lois are having that little mock interview, she's trying to prepare him, right? In this movie, Lois Lane is far more of a man than Superman is. And you see where he gets it from when you meet the Jonathan Kent in this movie. The whiny, mushy, wussified, just... How are people accepting this character? And so many of you who watch my channel don't accept it. You know it. You've heard my arguments and you have your own arguments for it. And we know that this isn't Superman. And a great deal more people know this isn't Superman than the media is letting on right now, because Warner Brothers is pushing this thing forward. And what are we going to see happen with this? I remember when Aquaman came out, the first Jason Momoa Aquaman movie. I pointed out how that's not the real Aquaman. That should not be celebrated. That's not the real... Oh, I was pilloried like you wouldn't believe. You can go back and find the video somewhere, and the ratio for thumbs down to thumbs up is just, it's crazy. Professor Geek is so ridiculous. Oh, he's so stupid. He's just gone off the deep end this time. How can he say that Aquaman's not a great movie? This was a great movie. We all had fun and blah, blah, blah. Again, we had fun. Does anybody give a crap about that Aquaman movie now? Has anybody even remotely thought about it? No. It was a flash in the pan. It was a cultural moment that people got all excited about and got their fifis all bubbly about. And so how dare you ever say anything wrong against it? And then that buzz fades and they're on to the next thing and they don't give a crap about this anymore. That happened with the Joker, right? The Joker movie. Oh my gosh, people just could not believe that I would dare say anything wrong about how that Joker approached the character or whatever, or that it was bad for culture or whatever. Does anybody care about the Joker now? Nope, especially after the joke of a sequel. No pun intended. This is what's happening with the Superman movie right now. So if you're like me and you know this isn't Superman and you know it's like Cassandra syndrome, like people around you, but I felt hopeful, whatever. This is not Superman. This is what's happening right now. They're in the little cultural moment. They feel like they've got a community around them. They can celebrate. They can have their little fifis. It's a buzz for them. It's a high, and so that's why they're lashing out harshly at anybody who dares point out the problems with this movie or this take on Superman or why it's bad for our culture and bad for the character in general. That's going to fade here very soon. As I said in my prediction before the movie came out, I said by the end of summer, probably a lot quicker than that. People are already going to be on to what's coming next. I don't know if the Supergirl, I haven't bothered looking into it because I don't care. I think maybe the Supergirl movie is coming next, or some, Clayface or whatever. What Warner Brothers is going to do, though, is they know, even though they're not admitting it, they know that elements of this movie and James Gunn's approach were not well received. Instead of saying, oh, we screwed up, let's go back to the drawing board and fix it, they'll do what they did with the Snyderverse. Oh, well, okay, well, let's just not put that so much in the Brave and the Bold Batman movie, or let's do it a little bit differently. Let's alter some things with the Supergirl. The Supergirl's dead on arrival already because you've got a drunk sorority girl Superman. This is your Tom King influence. All of you who sing the praises of James Gunn's Superman, go buy your Tom King comics because you're 100% on his side as well. It's ridiculous. This is his influence in there. So people are going to try to just sort of grin and cope with the Supergirl movie when it comes out and pretend that, well, it was, and they'll just keep hoping that it's going to be better, though, when the Superman and Batman come together or whatever, and the Justice League eventually or whatever. We're going to see it fall off. We're going to see Warner Brothers try to course correct mid-flow without admitting, hey, this is the wrong vessel. We should not keep doing this, because they don't do that. They'll just keep throwing money down the drain and making a little bit, but not as much as they should be making with these great characters. And that's what we're going to see. We're going to see a repeat of the Snyderverse. Eventually it's going to devolve into, Shazam 2 and the Black Adam type, dead on arrival movies from this universe. And then they'll say, well, people are just tired of this. It's the same MO. Warner Brothers never learns. They never learn. James Gunn is 100% solidified in his place. Screw you. You can F off, you can screw off or whatever he said if you don't like this movie. He even said in a recent interview where he was actually asked, believe it or not, okay, people are kind of, uneasy about this whole Jor-El and Lara wanting him to conquer Earth. Can that be retconned, or can we maybe find out that really wasn't the case? He said, nope, those people are shit out of luck. That was his direct quote. This is a vital, important part of Superman. Well, then you don't have Superman. That's not a vital, important part of the character. You have just nixed the whole Moses, Christ child, sun god archetype. You're going with your own little daddy issues, trauma, Superman character, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And once people get over their little need to be happy about something in a forum online or something like that, it'll be more readily apparent that it doesn't work. We need real examples of masculinity. We need real true blue portrayals of masculinity. And again, Christopher Reeve's Superman is a perfect example because, as he said, he was wanting to give an alternative to the more violent Rambos or RoboCops kind of things, that were going on in the 80s. But that quiet dignity, that quiet grace. It's not that he can solve everything without a challenge or anything like that. But when he shows up, it was like Dad's here. Things are going to be okay now. If you have a really healthy father figure, relationship there. That was the idea. And it's not that Superman just feels like your daddy, in general, but I'm just talking about in archetypes and figures. And that's something that's been completely lost from Superman. It's been lost in the comics for a long time. And it's no wonder that this is what's being portrayed in James Gunn's Superman. It's a wonder to me that so many people who I know are smarter than this otherwise are just swallowing it, because again, they just want to be part of the moment, and they just want to feel the feelings of it. But that's an important part of the Superman formula, but it's so not the be all and end all. And this movie fails on so many levels. It is not Superman. This is super emotional outburst man. This is I can't control and process my feelings like an adult, so I'm just gonna bottle them up, and if you dare challenge me about what I think is right, I'll go off on you. That's a child. That's not a man. That is not a man at all. And don't give me any crap about, this is just in his character development at this point. No, that's not Superman. You don't love the character. And that's what I'm hearing from so many people who make the excuses for this movie. They just don't love the character. It's just more important for them to have a movie that they can enjoy than to really have any kind of true depiction of the character. That's enough for them. And that's pretty sad. So anyway, I'll wrap it up there. I could go on a while about this, but those are my thoughts, just kind of where we are right now. And this, we're starting to see the flow ebb of it a little bit, thankfully. But yeah, that's what's going on. It's not Superman at all. It's not even a man. It's a really poor excuse for a little snowflake on the screen wearing some tights and a cape. But he believes in the right thing and he does the right thing, so I was hopeful and it's okay. No, it's not. But that's all for now. I'll be back with more reviews this week. I do have some comics and movie reviews coming. But until then, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the true blue hero stories you love.